Well, I mean, it's looks old, but I mean, it is what it is. It reminds me of with all the fancy polished decks and all that. This is the way it was. This is the way we worked. We worked on this ship, and we knew it was old, and we knew we weren't in a brand new ship. And like I say, we did get dirty, but we ate good. I mean, we ate steak and food, and our cook, we used to call him Bigelow. His last name was Bigelow. We used to call him Big. And he was a great guy. He used to take sometimes I go shopping with him in the Navy base to get all this, just like you would for your house.
Sure.
Because there was only maybe 20 of us or so on the ship altogether. There was so many engine men, so many seamen, so many people to run the boom, and the captains and all the officers that coordinated everything together. But Chief Adams, he was a great chief. He was a good man. The people
So
that
when you
were
call
on
him
board.
Chief Adams, was he the chief boatswain's mate?
Yes, he was our chief boatswain's mate. And there was another first-class boatswain's mate, big heavy-set guy. He was okay too.
Yeah.
And then the
So
rest of
you
us.
really didn't have anything to do with the guys who worked in the engine room, right?
Well, except to talk to them when we were off duty, and some of them slept in forward berthing with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of them were in forward berthing. I got to show you the anchor windlass, because one night, it was a Friday night, and I was going on Liberty in the morning. I had a plane leaving for me out of Philadelphia at 1 o'clock. And I had the mid-watch from 12 to 1, and everybody was out. And I was sitting on the guard shack, and I must have just closed my eyes for a minute, and Chief Adams caught me. You see me in the morning? Oh, sorry, Chief, I'm sorry. No, you see me in the morning. He went to bed. So I got up early because I must want to go away. He said, come over here. So he walked me over to the anchor windlass. He says, when this is all painted and done, then you can go on leave. I painted that whole thing in 2-3 hours, and I was on that plane at 1 o'clock. But he didn't know that Gary Baker was helping me on the side. Gary would sneak out. Is he coming? No, he'd help me paint. But that thing, I painted that. We had the paint locker was in that area too, and we had our own. That was our bathroom and shower. That little place over
those
there.
up so you can look
Oh
inside.
man, it's so funny.
But since we're up here on the bridge, tell me about what you did here, because you were talking before about steering.
Well, when we came up to the bridge, it would be like, say we finished our day's work, and we had to get into port, whether it be if we're way up bay in Newcastle, Delaware, because we used to tie up there too, or if we were way down the other end, one of the seamen would be called on helm duty. So everybody would have to do at least an hour or two on helm duty, but a lot of times the guys would tie from, and I loved steering the ship. So I'd come up here, I'd spend sometimes 2.5 hours up here steering and with the chief and the coordinator there, the master, what do I call it? I can't. Quartermaster.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. Then we had that tripod that he used to put out here, and they had the thing in a big case, and it was a big thing that they could put on the tripod, and he could look through it. You know, like one of them things where they look through the.
Okay.
And he was
I'll
really
have to
good.
find out
Yeah,
about
it
that.
come in a case, and there was a stand
That
for
was the
it.
sextant.
See that stand out there?
Yeah.
He used to sit on that thing right there. It'd sit on top of there, and then he could look through the glass. And I don't know what he would do. That's his job, but we used to watch him do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we never touched any of these instruments. The only thing
so
that
who sent the messages to the engine room then, or were you even on the helm when they were actively?
I would be on the helm, and they would be calling the shots to the engine room and all
So that
that.
would be the quartermaster.
Would always be the quartermaster, and we did have a chief engineer, a master chief engineer that was in charge of the enginemen. And they were mechanical type of people that worked it there. They loved working on. A lot of them took pride in this old baby, the steam thing. The people that ran it, you know.
Yeah,
they were
because even
really.
when you were here, steam power was.
It's unbelievable.
date.
Yeah, it took us 3 or 4 hours to get underway. So they would start warming up the engines about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. By the time we pulled out to go to work, because once we started work, there was no stopping, because we'd go from buoy to buoy to buoy. And in between, if there was lunch, you three go to lunch, you three stay, and then we would do it in shifts. And even with the people in the engine room, we would break in shifts, but we would go through the whole day. And at the end of the day, if it was sunset or when they figured it was time to head in, somebody would have to come up to do the helm. So they, oh, all right, we need, come on. Oh, I don't. Would you go for me, Vani? Yeah, I'll go. I don't mind. I'll go. And so I used to come, and I used to get really good. At first, I wasn't that good at it. I was a little wobbling, but after a while, I got really tight with this. I brought it under the Walt Whitman Bridge. I brought it under a few bridges. The bridge after that, going out toward Philly. There's a few places where they let me, where the water, the sea is pretty wide.
But when you're getting close to the dock, the
Oh,
quartermaster
absolutely.
took over?
Or if we got from, okay, that's it, you can go. And then they took over everything.
Okay.
Knew how to put it in reverse and then to suck it into the dock. I used to have to leave and throw the lines out.
Okay.
We had a steel ball wrapped up in like a clothesline.
A heaving
And we
line.
used to swing it, throw it on the deck,
Right.
and they'd get that, because we'd have our big line, the big line.
Right.
We'd have the rope tied to the line. So we'd swing the thing on the shore,
Right.
and they would pull that with the line and then put it on the, tie her up.
Yeah.
And they'd tighten it a little bit and tighten it till everything was tight and secure. And we'd help them. We would be on both sides.
Because you
till
were
they got
part of the
tight.
deck crew.
Yeah, exactly. They had all the work on the deck, all the painting, all the chipping, all the maintenance that they had to be. We did all that. And if we were at dock sometimes in the winter, that's what we did.
You might-
We're going to go down through here. Come on.
Yeah, just so you can see the captain's
I'm gonna
stateroom.
grab
Yeah,
all
the
this
cat,
stuff.
the
Yeah.
captain.
Or, it's fine.
The captain had a special cook for him. That's the gyro compass. This was the captain's quarters, the shower and all that. This was the ET shop, electrician shop.
Yeah, on this side there was a workbench.
Yep.
We've turned it into a little boiler room for heat
Oh.
because the old boilers don't run.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get them up there.
Right.
That thing used to puff some black smoke, baby.
Yep, they're burning bunker 6.
yeah. I used to come and hide up here to get away from everybody, because the captain was never on board if we were on port. He was always at home. He'd come in the daytime and check, but he really didn't do much. But
Okay.
we used to, when we go down below, I gotta show you all this stuff down below. There's a lot of crap
well, we're
down
gonna
there.
go down there.
These
Do you
were-
remember the boats that were here? Though?
Yeah, we had boat davits. See the boat davits? There was a ready boat here and a ready boat here. Well, a life preserver, lifeboat.
They were like 22-foot launches.
Yeah, and we had to learn how to run these boat davits. There's a way you got to hook them, and when we used to have a drill, we used to have exercises, we used to have to do all that. You have to come and, make sure the ropes and everything were able to let the boat down, check everything. They do
Okay,
the
so
boilers.
that was part of the deck crew's job was
Yeah.
getting the boats on and off?
Seaman's job, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Boatsmains.
What color did you paint this?
Always lead red, always gray. You're red, no, red lead underneath, always gray on top.
Yeah.
But if you got rust, you got to hammer it out.
Yep. We've been doing a lot
Scrape
of that lately, catching up, trying
Keep
to catch
hammering it. Well, when you see it blistered,
Up. Yep,
pop them.
that's what we did.
You sand them. I'm an expert at it. I take care. This was the chief, master chief for the engine man. He was up here. This was his quarters. And I forget his name, but he was in charge of all the engine men. And he had his quarters up here. And the showers. You know the showers that they had? Downstairs you'll see them.
Yeah.
The porcelain.
There is a shower for the officers up here, but this was officers
Okay, I'll show you something.
on this level.
You see this floor? They made me scrub with suji powder all the yellow off it to make it white. This is dirty. We had to scrub it. The captain had a Filipino cook.
Yeah,
He
so
only
you
cooked for
know
him.
where the steward slept?
Yeah, I thought he slept. He had a place up
He
here.
had to be up here.
Yeah, he had
I'm
a
wondering
place
if
up
it was,
here.
there's,
Yes, must have been where he slept. Filipino guy.
we're using it for storage and we
He
have
had
a
a
leak. So
he had a room here where he always stayed, and he was only on ship when we were underway. See how these stairs are? Now when you go down a forward berthing, you get the rails and you slide down. You don't try to go forward, you're going to bang your head into the bulkhead. This was there where they play cards and everything.
Yeah, the wardroom. This
Yeah.
is for the officers.
When they come and have their meetings and everything. Yeah, oh, look at the engine room. Come here, guys, look at this. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. The guys used to come in, it always smelled like oil in here. These are the pistons, and it was hot in here. You see on the bottom there where the piston would go around? It was oily and hot in here. I mean, hot. And these guys would be in here, 4 of them at a time, running and making sure the fuel, everything's going. It was, if anything broke, they had to fix it. In the yards, they took apart the whole thing. They put new screws on it. I mean, when we came out of the yards in 1970, this thing was redone from head to toe. It looked brand new, even though it was old. They would build up enough water pressure and steam that it would get them things going. But they had to be oiled. They had to have an oiler over here to check them all the time.
Slippery with oil.
Oh, the floors. We used to go as far as where Janice is to tell the guys what they needed to do and get the hell out of here. Here's where we used to eat. This is on, and they still got the tables in here.
Yep.
This is where we used to eat.
Tables are still here.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. Me and Bigelow ran this whole kitchen, right? Everything. They had pipes up here, big white pipes. I cleaned this whole area with suji powder, and the floors over here. I washed dishes and everything over here for the whole crew. And Chief made me paint all this stuff up here and clean it. There were more white pipes that were wrapped up here, and these pipes that I had to do. But I didn't, like I say, I wasn't doing anything. Here was our freezer. We used to keep all our foods. And I had the lockers to both, I had the keys to both of these places.
About how many people were on the boat?
Not more than 20, 22 maybe.
Oh, we have some, it might
How
be
many?
from World War II. We have info that said there were 38.
Oh, that's a lot.
officers.
Yeah, that's a lot. We had 5, 6.
Well, there were 12 bunks in the PO.
It was about 25 people or so, I
Yeah.
would say. Not more than that. See these gunnels? We trip, you gotta be careful. You know how many times?
You know, I have a welder who says we should get rid of them.
Well, we needed it for the water
Yeah.
to run out.
Yeah.
That's why we had to paint them red and black. You know how many times we painted them? And when we put a buoy on deck, what did they close this deck up? This has been closed.
Yeah, when we got this ship, they were both closed. We opened this one.
Do you see the yellow lines here? This was all black and it had to be yellow because you didn't want, this is the danger zone. You don't want to be over here.
Because you ran with them both wide open all
Yeah, oh yeah, they were wide open. There was a chain. We had a chain, just a little chain. And we removed these deck plates too because the bilges are underneath here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something you got to see. Come here.
Painted.
I painted this whole thing, every bit of it. It was beautiful when I did it. I painted the bottom all black with white lettering. We put our initials over here on this. We painted all the floor, all gray, everything all gray. And then we fixed the handles and spaces where we put black to dress it up. But the chief couldn't say anything. We did this. We did a good job on it. This was our bathroom. Hey, hon. This is our bathroom. Look, don't get hurt coming down here. Let me go first. This is where the seamen slept. Now the bunks, they came out of the wall. Those beds that we had came from this. See the cots?
I have some in storage.
They fell down. There was 3 of them. Each place had 3 and 3. And some of the ones on the bottom, Ray, you were almost on the floor. They were really low to the ground.
There you go. And that one, and this one.
Now, I used to have to come here all the time to come in here, right? Look at this. Come here. Show you something. I was the only one that had the keys to this. Come here. Just be careful. Nobody came in here. Okay.
Don't knock into the
Right there that was the dry goods store right there.
That was the dry goods store.
This is the dry goods store right in here. Look. Look at it. And it's too bad I don't have a flashlight. That was where we kept all our dry goods, and we had it all locked up. I don't know if you guys can fit in here. Remember, I was a small kid. Honey, just look in. I want to show you something. We kept all our dry goods in here, and right over here was an outtake fan. Over here. And when you turned the light on in here, the fan would come on, and it would suck everything out. So that I was able to come down here and keep all the dry goods, anything that we used in the kitchen that wasn't, had to be frozen or anything that had to be kept dry. This was the driest place on the ship. This was the dry good locker. None of the mates had any keys to get in here. Not many of them came in here. I had to come in here because of the kitchen and because I worked with the cook for a while. And we used to have to come into the dry goods. And this was a place where I could come if it was busy. I could just come in here and sit, close the door, and nobody knew where I was. And I'd be in here for a while until they were started. Where is he? Yeah, well, I was I had to get down in the dry goods store and get this or get that, you know. So it was really funny. And you have to duck down in here. You can't be, them guys were all big. A lot of them couldn't fit in here. Well, that's another thing on a ship. You have to have fire drills all the time. Constantly have the fire drills and safety drills, man overboard drills, different drills that we had. That was about the only really thing that was kind of nitpicky other than being on a white one. That's why we like to be here. It was more of a, this is a working ship, like working construction. You know, you don't get pushed the holes around.
You slept in here?
Yeah.
Was this door usually open?
No, we always kept that door closed.
Okay.
They had to have watertight integrity when you were underway. So all the latches and everything had to be latched. Watertight integrity means that it blocks off the water from maybe just filling up one compartment rather than filling up all the compartments. We very rarely did anything that, but the white ones and the big ships that are out to sea are more concerned about. But we, the way we are, you know, they worked in the ice and all different kind of weather. So I'm sure they could come up with a lot of, they had a lot, I'm sure they had their problems of difficulty doing all that, you know.
Do you remember ice breaking?
No, we didn't have any ice. When I got out of boot camp in March, they were just beginning the season to go out to all the range buoys and all the buoys from all the way from Pennsylvania all the way out to Cape May. So we were quite busy that year. Then
everyone says spring was the busiest.
After that, it's September, we went to the yards. And we worked day and night for 4 or 5 weeks. And that's when the guys threw the paint in the pool. And we got in a lot of trouble for that. But Bobby, see, Bobby was well liked. The chief, everybody, we all loved Bobby. How many times he got drunk and walked that beam?
I can't believe that.
Bobby, Bobby's walking the beam. Holy Jesus. This brings back so many memories. Oh my God.
So what's the furthest north you remember going on the river?
Way past Newcastle. We went almost till we couldn't go anymore where the water was getting too low. The last buoys are way, way up the river. So on the way back, we'd always have to tie up in Newcastle because we couldn't make the trip all that way. It was too long.
Pretty far.
So we'd stay, and of course, the minute we docked in Newcastle, everybody jump off the ship and they're gone into the town.
To the bars.
Yeah, there was that bar in Newcastle where they all drank. I was underage. I couldn't get served. So
it wasn't that there was a girl in every place.
No, that's a lot of. Well, I'll tell you.
I hear about the drinking.
There were a lot of girls.
He's not telling me about it.
There were a lot.
Now I know why.
There were a lot of, my wife's here. There were a lot of girls outside that base. Are you kidding? We had, shut that off. Okay.